I don't really know who would want to know more about me, but welcome. What's up, y'all? My name is Jess, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing 25 bookish facts about me. Coming up with 25 book-related facts was a little bit hard, but I figured now would be a good time to share a little bit more about myself. So let's just jump right into it. Fact number 1 is that I own about 500 books. Those books are on these two shelves behind me and my TBR shelf behind the camera. Fact number 2 is that I only have multiple copies of 2 books, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and The Diary of Anne Frank. I'm personally not a fan of owning multiple copies of a book. I feel like it's a little bit a waste of my money. I don't have a lot of money to spend on books as is, so why would I spend money on a book that I already own? I'm a little bit of a book collector, so I kind of understand the appeal, but I don't have the wallet to support that. Fact number 3, about 10 to 15 of the books I own were bought abroad. This copy of The Diary of Anne Frank and Van Gogh's Ear were both bought in Amsterdam while I was there a year or two ago. All of the other books are Spanish books that I bought while I was in Cuba. Speaking of, I own books in 3 languages. English, obviously, but I also have books in Spanish and 1 book in French. I took French in high school and a little bit in college, so I bought that book for practice sakes and I still haven't read it, so we're doing great. Fact number 5 is that I have an Excel spreadsheet that catalogs all of the books that I own, although I do need to update that. The reason I have this spreadsheet is because when I moved to college, I lost a chunk of my books. Originally, I left all of my books at home with my parents, but both of my parents moved to different places, and eventually when I got my books back, I realized that there was quite a few missing. I can name a few of the books that I'm missing, but I don't actually remember all of them, so I decided to make a spreadsheet to make sure that I never forget which books I own again. Fact number 7 is that the TBR shelf, which you can't see because it's behind the camera, was actually an anniversary gift. This was before I had my books back with me in college. I had spoken to my boyfriend a bit about how much I missed having bookshelves and having books with me, so for our first anniversary, he was sweet enough to get me an entire bookshelf. Fact number 8 is that no one buys me books as gifts because they're afraid that I'll end up with duplicates, and that makes me very sad. I love getting books as gifts, and I literally don't care if it ends up being a duplicate or not. The one memorable time that I got gifted books, though, was beyond wild. I believe it was for my 15th birthday, but I could be wrong. My brother was enlisted in the Marines at the time, and so he couldn't attend my quinceañera, which was sad for both of us. But he asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I sent him my book depository wish list and told him literally any of these books would be great as a gift. I would love all of them. And wouldn't you know it, he bought all of them. Unboxing all of the books he bought me was honestly one of the best days of my life, and a lot of the books that I own now can be attributed to that gift. Another large portion of my current collection can be attributed to the Miami Book Fair. I've gone to the Miami Book Fair International every year for 9 years with my grandma. I got my love of books from her, so it was a little tradition that we shared, and I'm super sad that I can't do it this year, not only because of the pandemic, but also because I live in Virginia now, so it's just not possible. Fact number 11 is that a lot of my children's books are hand-me-downs from my siblings. My siblings are 5 years older than me, and you can see a lot of wear and tear on the books. They're not the nicest, some of the series are mismatched, but I love them and I would never think to replace them with nicer copies. Fact number 12 is that I had a very serious true crime / crime fiction phase. You can see a lot of those books on these shelves. I don't know if I'm still into them, but they're here. Fact number 13 is that I did actually try organizing my books alphabetically, and I hated it. I couldn't find anything. I'm a very visual person, so I may not remember the title or the author of a book, but I'm always going to remember what it looks like, and that's why my shelves are organized by color. It's just what works for me. And it looks aesthetically pleasing. Fact number 14 is that I don't have a preference between hardcover and paperback. I like them both for different reasons. Paperback is more affordable, so I have a lot of those. I will say though, I do prefer to have series all in one. So if I start out a series as paperback, I want all of them to be paperback. Fact number 15 is that Belle is my favorite princess, partially because of her love for books. I don't think that's unusual in the booktube community. Fact number 16, I want to do a whole trip around the world based entirely on the most beautiful libraries and bookstores in the world. Fact number 17 is a little bit embarrassing. I originally considered making a booktube channel back in 2013. I even filmed a few videos, but nothing really came of it. Partially because high school me had commitment issues, but mostly because I was just nervous and intimidated. Not gonna lie, I feel a lot of regret for not doing it back then, but there are reasons for everything, and I'm happy that I'm doing it now. Fact number 18, I only started listening to audiobooks in late December 2019. My auditory comprehension just isn't that good. It's hard for me me to follow a storyline in audiobook format versus physically reading it, but it does give me a lot more access to books than I would have if I was just reading ebooks or physical books. And speaking of, because I've started listening to audiobooks, I have also started reading more than one book at a time, which I never used to do. In December, I also gave annotating and tabbing my books a try for the first time, and I kind of love it. I only really do it for books that I reread. I really enjoy it. I love seeing all the pretty colors. Fact number 21 is that I very rarely DNF books. I used to refuse to DNF books, and that's why it ended up taking me an entire month to read Catcher in the Rye, because I hated the book. It's a lot easier for me to DNF now. I don't have time for this shit anymore. Fact number 22 is that supposedly, according to my mom, I used to carry around books when I was a toddler, even though I couldn't read at the time yet. She says that I just thought the words themselves looked really pretty, which is totally on brand for me now. Fact number 23 is that my favorite non-bookish item on my bookshelves is this stuffed basset. I love mythology, but I mostly love this because it's a black cat and I have a black cat. I am really that simple to please. Fact number 24 is that I want to work in publishing. And fact number 25 is that one day I do want to write my own novels. I actually have 2 ideas that I've kind of been sitting on, that have been brewing in my mind. I just don't think I'm ready to write them yet. And just as a bonus fact, because this literally just came to me, my favorite bookstore back in the day was Walden Books. And I'm literally only mentioning this because people always talk about Barnes & Nobles and they talk about Borders as like an old school bookstore, but I've never heard anyone talk about Walden Books, and that's sacrilegious. It was my favorite. There was one in my mall. I went there all the time. If you've ever heard of this bookstore, please comment below and let me know. I start to think that it's just a fever dream that I came up with. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more, and I hope you connected with some of the things that I mentioned. Feel free to comment below any of your favorite bookish facts about yourself. I would love to get to know all of you better. Y'all know the spiel. Like, comment, subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one, y'all.